Well, welcome back to Backyard Cars. And it's pouring down rain here in rainy Florida. But today, we're sticking something back in the bucket. I know, I know we was going to put the big block in the Monte Carlo. But, well, I got stuff on order. And it ain't here yet. So, let's do this. Because, well, I got this stuff. And, I got a surprise. Alright, I got you up in the teeth of it here. And as you can see, we put in some new small block mounts because these front plate mounts wouldn't work for matching up to the small block. And then I thought, well, I'll leave those just in case someone ever decides to do, big block back in it. But then it dawned on me that I believe that these would be the same as the small block. You just can't use the front plate on the small block. So I guess I could take those out. But that's more work. So we're not doing that either. I can put a motor in it. So what motor are we going to use? Let's take a peek at that. Well, what we have here is everybody's favorite small block. So why did you paint it pink small block? What did that come in, Barbie's Jeep? Who paints a small block pink? I didn't do it. But because it received so much hate, I really kind of like it now. And I was thinking to myself, how would that look in the bucket? And how many people could I catch on camera asking why there's a pink motor in it? So yeah, let's do that. Let's drop the pink small block in the bucket. I mean, why not? I know some of you guys right now, you're like, that's it. I'm not watching this guy. And I'm okay with that. Because I do what I want. Yep. All right, well, I gotta make this brand new though. I mean, you can't just stick an old motor in an old car, you know? I don't know. This will do just fine, right? It's not like we're building a hot rod. Okay. So we are building a hot rod. Maybe we got to do something with that. I got an entire engine gasket set. So there's nothing here that we're going to need that we're not going to have. And we're going to make this motor brand new. Brand new. I know. If you watched it this far now, you didn't just shut me off. I was just joking with you. Oh, yeah. Even got some cork valve cover gaskets. I like that. I was just messing with you. I can't put a pink small block in here. I want to, but I can't put a pink small block in there. So we're going to tear it down and we're going to make it brand new. I mean, brand new. And I've already went across this entire thing and I degreased it and I washed it and then I degreased it and I scrubbed it and I sprayed it down. And then I degreased it again and let that sit for 20 minutes and came back and hosed that off. Then I used the air and I blew off the motor everywhere. And then I sprayed it down with wax and grease remover. And I just let that sit. And then I wire brushed, as much as I was going to wire brush. And then I sprayed it down with wax and grease remover. And I know it was probably too much on all of it, but I wanted to make sure that there was no grease left on it. And I feel confident it's grease free. All right. So now that we're all ready, let's get to, rebuilding. Yep. I know some of you are like, oh, you didn't prime it. I don't care. Yeah, we're going black. I couldn't go any other way, guys. I'm going into the hot rod. All right. Next step is getting us a flex plate and some flex plate mountain hardwares. And of course, Loctite. Where's our holes? And I don't know what the torque is off the top of my head. I'm feeling good about that. What do we got to do now to get it in? Oh, we got to put the motor mounts on. Okay, motor mounts. Where are they at? Why do they call them motor mounts if it's an engine? I'm confused. I'm confused about some things. If we're supposed to call it an engine, why do they call them motor mounts? Do they call them motor mounts or are they called engine mounts? I think they're called motor mounts. If you go into the thing and look up motor mount, it's coming up. Because we're all idiots that they had to do their system that way? Probably. Okay, where's the other one? Now, I did this scientifically. Everything's measured to precision accuracy. So there's no reason anything should go wrong. 9/16. Great, now we got chainsaws firing up. Okay. Yeah. Am I gonna clear that horn? No. Clearing the horn. Clearing the horn. Feel like I'm off here. Let's lower it down a little bit. Okay. I probably got to jack the transmission up to meet this before I get it down in these holes. And have to go up one more jack here, huh? Okay, let's see. The problem is going to be getting it mated and in those holes. So, up with the transmission. Can you just hang out right there for 1 second? I'm pretty close to just going in. This is just part of it. I mean, if you're gonna wrench, you gotta wrench. I think on these bottom ones, I gotta actually get a socket on them. Pretty sure my thing, it's not big enough to get up in there. Let's get it. Let's get it sitting down in its spot. Get off the trans. Uh-oh. That mount went in just fine. This one did not. All right. Yahtzee. I mean, it's in there. That's half the battle. Uh-huh. And it doesn't look like the front end is so sad about holding that little block. Now we got to put the meat and potatoes in. Now we need a cam and a blower. We ain't getting none of that. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to regroup and get all my stuff out that I got out now. We're going to get it cleaned up, and we're going to get set up to move forward. All right, well, last night we got the pan wire brushed down. We got the timing cover cleaned up. We sprayed the balancer. Let's get you up in there a little closer where you can see the timing chain play. It's not bad. Our marks are where the marks need to be. That's pretty shady, actually. And our timing cover, got the gasket set on it. Harmonic balancer's all ready to rock and roll. Oil pan drying in the sun. That's perfect, right? I mean, I wire brushed the pee out of that thing. All right, I guess I got to run to the parts store now and see if we can't get the timing chain. And then we'll be back. We're going to start, when we get back, we're going to start up under here getting the rear main. Right. We got our timing chain ordered, and it won't be here till the morning. So now let's just keep moving along, and let's get the oil pump down so we can get the rear cap off and swap out that main 2-piece rear seal. Update on this a little bit. We'll just leave the bolt down in here for now with the oil pumpage. Come on. And I do have a new plastic piece for the oil drive. See if we can't pop off the cap. Oh, that don't look yummy at all. The bearing is still stuck up on the block. That's no bueno. Where's my cap? Where's my cap? I don't see anything. I mean, you can see on there it's got wear, but we're going with it. We're rolling with it because there ain't much we can do. Sure, we go buy one bearing and jam it back in there, but I'm not going to do it. Now that that's out, we got to get the rear seal out of there. Let's see if I got something that can push on it a little bit. We got to get one end to roll out a little, and then we should be able to grab it with the pliers. Oh man, there she is. Oh, that thing is rock hard. Actually, it looks like it was sealing all right though. Okay. Maybe not. Where are you, little seal? There's a seal right here. That's the other half. All right. And then let's just put a little roll back on here. Let's try not to jam anything up here hard. No. All right. We're going to torque these to 25, then 50, then 75. 25, 25. And then 75. And we'll call it a day. And that's the rear main seal replacement. Yay! Yeah, give you a hole. All of it? Probably so. I don't know the torque for the oil pump, but that's not as important as the main cap. I need an extension. No? Can it come from this side? What do I got to do here? Okay, that's good. All right. Sitting flush and flat. That looks better. Okay. All right, we got our timing chain in, and we're gonna. I mean, it's not bad. It is bad, really. It's off probably 3 degrees. So I already popped the cam bolts loose. First off, we got our dots lined up, right? And just so we're clear about how this goes down, right? When you put the two dots together, it makes it easier, to make sure you're lined up. But this is technically like the 6-cylinder compression stroke. So you assemble it with your dots together. You know what I'm saying? Then, once it's all together, then you roll it around till this dot is up here and this dot is here. Right? This dot up here, then this dot up here, and that is TDC on the 1-cylinder if you got everything lined up right. So line them up together when you're changing it, and then rotate it around and get to the 1-cylinder and be sure everything's good. All right, now let's disassemble this. And I got a little pulley puller for the bottom sprocket. You don't need that no more. Get the pulley puller set up to pull a pulley, but it's going to be a gear. Maybe. If it don't try and kill us. I don't feel like it's lining up right. It shouldn't take much to get that gear off of there, though. You just got to pull on it evenly, semi-evenly. Apparently, this puller is not the best. Oh, it's coming off already. All right. There we go. I'm sure you could probably do that other ways. Okay. I know. You gotta do that last. I was just setting it up there. Just trying to identify what's going on here. All right. Looking legit. It's gotta go back a little bit further. Gotta really get it done. Okay. Let's kind of see what's going on here. Did we get it on the first try? Of course we don't. Second try. Hmm. Uh-oh. I don't know what my cam gear torque spec is. What's my cam gear torque spec? It seems a little loose to me. You know, to be a brand new chain. Okay. We got a thread locker these. That's recommended. That was probably way too much. So we're never getting them back out. And then they want you to torque them down. And most of us are just going to go and, give it some onion. That's just like kind of snugged up. Let's double check it with the torque wrench just to be sure. And I set it to 20 foot-pounds. So just a little past snug, right? Like snug it up and then a quarter turn. So you ain't got to bust out torque wrench. 20 foot-pounds, good to go. All right, now let's put the timing cover on. We want to get the harmonic balancer on and center that plate up a little bit. All right, let's get a little oil on our crank snout. Inside and out. Leave it up good. Now, one thing you should never do you know, to seat this is you should never, ever, ever in any case hit it with a hammer. That's the completely wrong way to do that. So never, ever do that. Okay, we're getting there. Should have known it from the start. Let's see. You just tighten her in, nice and easy. Voila. Well, I'm sure everyone's going to cuss me for this too, but I install these my own way. You know, I know that the gasket has these little tabs to align these rubbers, but I always have a problem getting everything to line up. So what I started doing is I just started cutting the gasket off flush with the bend, and then we just put a little Permatex. You know what I'm saying? So I like to put a little Permatex on the back side here, 3 points, and put this up in the timing cover. And then the same thing on the rear. Put that gasket up in there. This is Permatex to the pan. Then we put a little extra in each corner. Jam the pan up there. That's how I do it. And it typically works the best for me. And I'm sure there's some of y'all out there that are saying, that's the dumbest thing I ever heard. And, oh well, it works for me. Well, I'm going to apologize for this. I set the camera up right over here so we could see this go on. And I explained it all, and I walked through all the steps of putting where to put silicone and all RVTs and how to do it without it leaking, you know? And, well, I did everything right except hit record. So when I got done and I hit the button to stop recording, it started recording, and I realized, what an idiot. So the pan's on, and torque down to the proper torque specs, of course. So now we got to get up. Let's see. We got to kind of recuperate now, figure out where we're at. Bottom end is done. We don't have to go back in there anymore. So at this point, I guess we can go ahead and pull the intake and get our new Performer intake. It's the same intake, really, just made by Edelbrock. So it'll look fancy, but probably not add any more ponies. But it'll look good doing it. So let's get set up to do that. Well, since we forgot to be rolling on the pan, figured we'd make sure we were rolling on this. Get the intake off. Never pry on this with a screwdriver. You could damage it, is all I'm saying, if you pry on it with a screwdriver. Oh, I need to get that one out. All right. Round two. Yeah. It actually don't look too bad in there, huh? Okay, what's that look like? It looks like it looks. That water jacket is almost completely plugged. Okay. That's the stop leaks that we put in it. All right, well, hey, let's just get the intake gasket out of here. Oh, it don't actually look bad in here, though. And here she be. That's what we're putting on. What do you think? It looks better, right? I mean, it's going to be all the high performance you could ever want. Plus some. No, it's pretty much the same one we just took off, just by Edelbrock. It might get 10 more ponies and 5 more foot-pound of torque, or 5 more ponies and 10 more foot-pound of torque. Something like that. This is the Performer 2101, which is pretty much the equivalent to the aluminum factory intake that was on it. It's just not pink, you know? Okay, so we got gaskets somewhere. Let's find those. We got to get out the RVTs and do the RVT. And they gave us all the fancy rubber ones. Fanciest of the fancies. Look, this one's got alignment tabs in it. It could tab it right to the alignment. I'm going to be honest with you. I've never, ever used these. But I've also never come across the one with the little pegs in it. The biggest thing is when you squish it down, the gasket rockets out, but that's got the little alignment pegs in there. You know? Could that could that could that work? It's gonna hold the gasket nicely. Does the front one have those holes? Is there a front one with the why is the front one a different color? The front one has the tabs in it too, but it's a different color. See, these are the ones that normally come in it, and they just hold the sides, you know. And of course, it just comes out. So as soon as I see those, I throw them away, and then I just permatex. But I might use these because they do have the little dowels. We'll give them a try. I know some of y'all are like right now, don't trust them. Don't trust them. They're just as bad as the others. But look, it's holding the gasket where you need the gasket to be. On both sides. I mean, I can permatex around that. I think we can make that work. I'm happy with it based on the squinch front and back. I think it'll be good. We're gonna test it. I'm still gonna put RVT in every corner because that's what I'm gonna do. But we're gonna go with the rubbers and we're gonna see what happens. Squirt, squirt. All right, and let's try and plop this down right on the money. It's pretty close. All right. Yahtzee. Intakes. Torque down. All right. So yesterday we left off somewhere around here. And I got the carburetor mounting plate up on here. We didn't necessarily need it, as the carb we're going to use would bolt right to this intake. But, we want to kind of raise it up a little bit. Every dyno test I've ever seen, this has added 0.3% more horsepower. So we're going for more ponies. Now, it just looked a little better, taller. Clears everything. I actually forgot to put the blocks in for the cross dealio. So the intake's going to get a little hotter than it would normally get. So we're trying to insulate that heat too. A couple reasons, but we'll go with what it is for now. And the carb will drop down on here. And I had to go out and get some plugs, one for the water neck and one for the water pump. And I got the coil bracket on, and I plumbed my vacuum and my vacuum port. I think I stuck that on. So we got some of it here, and there was an old thermostat, but I wasn't sure if it was going to work, so I got a brand new thermostat. Nice 180 and a nice Velcro seal. Huh? But we did purchase the cheap Spectra water neck, because the old water neck that I had, the bottom was ate out, and this one's probably going to eat out pretty quick too. But it's better than it was, and the other one was straight out, and we need it going that way. Huh. Well, that creates a problem. You have to run that over here. Bummer. Oh. Yep, that is a freshly powder coated harmonic balancer. Of course not. Just wire brushed and spray painted. There's the pulley. Now don't go crazy on me here because of this big old pulley, but it's what we need to do to get the, what do we got to do with it? We got to get the belts to line up with the alternator off to the side down here. So to get everything to line up, we need to use this pulley. I need 2 bolts so I can put the 2 gaskets on. And I'm not RVTing this. The factory did not RVT this, neither shall I. What's going on? Okay. No problem. No problem. Not going in. There we go. Okay. This is not completely dry yet. It lines up perfect. All right. All right, we got good belt alignment. We're going to need to find some... Oh, I got to pull the fan off over here. I'm going to use that fan again. I need to get the bracket for the alternator. It's going to sit like right here somewhere. Maybe I rig one up. Maybe I buy one. I don't know. Moving along. What are we doing now? All right, let's go for a small win. Just a small win. Get something accomplished that goes smoothly. You know what I mean? Something that blocking off the plate. Yeah, with the oil pump. Oil pump, fuel pump. What am I talking about? This guy doesn't even know what he's talking about. How am I supposed to follow him if he doesn't know what he's talking about? I mean, don't follow me. No, follow me. Help me out. I don't even know what size sockets go on here. I just need a win. That's all I'm saying. So it's something simple. We had hardware. It's got to be blocked off. It's blocked off. 2 different bolt sizes for this. I don't understand. I do, actually. One's the plate to hold a fuel pump on the small block. The other one's just to hold the fuel pump. I gotcha. Alright, that's secured. We're about the bling, you know? We're all about the bling. Alright, so in an effort to stay positive and keep moving forward, we're going to put the rad back in because we can't do nothing with it with the belts and all that good stuff. I got to get pump bolts. We'll talk about that in a second. Got to get all this to hook back up. Well, let me get this. Oh man, that is. I thought I cleaned that. I do have a box somewhere that's got some junk in it. I'll go check it. Maybe I can find 4 nuts for that. But we're getting some wins in here. I haven't turned it around to TDC yet, but I do have some parts we're putting on. It's old stuff, man. It's all stuff I've had. The Mega Fire coil. Mega Fire. I don't know if it's any good, but we're setting up to use it, so we're going to check it out. You know what I'm saying? Mega Fire. Maybe we pop the clips down. Take the cap off, just, I don't know, in case. This is not good. If this don't fit, an HEI for sure ain't gonna fit. Oh, there we go. Okay. I think we're just past the 1 TDC. We're just past it, so we'll say it's like right there. Okay, I feel better about that now. Is the cap gonna go back on? Okay. It's tight. You know? Alright, we got progress, as you can see. We got our completely rebuilt powder coated starter. Now we just painted that. And then we got our fuel line ran. Got through these little loop-de-doos. I need to get the elbow that comes down for the Edelbrock and then run that right there. But for now, that'll be alright. And we got the fancy alternator bracket, which I have to say, I bought this from the Jungle warehouse and it was 25 bucks. And it mounts the alternator perfectly up with the belts, gives you the swivel, everything's out of the way. 25 bucks for that. I mean, it's equivalent to what you'd buy from the fancier guys for, you know, $1,000 for their whole setup. You can do it for like 200 bucks. Both the little brackets and some pulleys, and you're good to go. Anyhow, cheap little alternator bracket, so the alternator go on there good. Everything lines up. What else did we do? We moved that over to there. For the alternator, I can do away with this wire up here. This is the charge wire. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to run it from the back of the alternator right here to the starter. So you just got that little wire from here to here instead of one over the top. It'll be harder to see it, you know? Kind of clean it up a little bit. We got the distributor in, and we got it on TDC on the block and got us all marked up here. Unfortunately, this is so close to the firewall. If we turn this to sit over here with the vacuum advance where you'd want it and all the fancy, you know, wording up on there, the clip hits the firewall. You can't take it off and you can't get any more advance out of it. So we actually have it sitting in here on a different cylinder than what should be 1. You know what I'm saying? So we're using this as 1 now, and I got it marked on the side. And we'll be able to turn this and advance it a little bit and get our timing dialed in before we lock it down. And that's the best we could do, because any other way, you either couldn't turn it because the vacuum advance hit somewhere or the clip hit somewhere. That was our only option to be able to set the timing. What else did we get done? Oh, I got all the wiring done up behind here, so I was able to put the panel back on. I still gonna clean up some of the wiring here and get some grommets. Can you see up in there? You gotta get some grommets up in these wire holes. And we're gonna take the electric fan off the front. I have a bigger, skinnier fan that I'm gonna try and get up in here, because I still haven't figured out. I did get bolts for the pulley, for the water pump pulley to bolt on, but I still gotta figure out a fan, flex fan or something that will clear the bottom pulley and bolt on here. But I don't have time for that, so if the electric fan works, it works. I also had to make this little tin bracket here to put on the back of this, so when we mount our throttle linkage, it doesn't just pivot, because before it was just doing the pivot thing. How did that go? So that sits on there, but it was able to just turn because none of this squared up. So we made this bracket that when it bolts down tight, that doesn't turn, and in turn holds this and won't let it turn. So we'll see how that works out. We got the right end on here. We still got to secure it there, and we're going to have to trim this cable down again. We trimmed it down once for the big block, but as you can see, we're still way too long. We're going to have to take a couple inches out of this casing here so that, you know, go back where it's supposed to be. That's what I'm saying. Other than that, I mean, we're dialed in. I got the headers are coming. I'm not telling you what I bought for it, but I got some brand new fresh headers that are going to fill our crazy vibe here. And we're probably going to use my old plug wires for now, because they quit selling the MSDs at O'Reilly. The MSD plugs are no longer sold there, plug wires. So they had some weird name I had never heard before. Just because they're selling them as plug wires, performance plug wires, doesn't mean I'm buying them. That's all I'm saying. Now, I do have to get hoses still. I want to see if I put this on here. Can I swing it? If I can swing it up and out of the way, I'm going to do that. Let's just see. There we go. I like that. That way we can take a little view at what this is going to look like. Woo-wee! It's going to be fresh. Oh yeah, of course. That's the old, messed up paint peeling off, chrome peeling alternator. What did you want me to do? Buy a new one? Not going to happen. It still produces voltage. So, a little bit of spray paint and voila. So I don't lose this other bolt. I'm just sticking it in the bottom there. But we definitely need to flip that up to get our hoses on. And this will help us line up what we're going to do with the wire. I probably get a little fatter wire than this, but I'm just going to go something like this. Maybe I should go up through this, so that kind of keeps it up and out of the way also. And boom. Instead of having one going all the way in, we're just charging right back to the main feed to the battery and inside the cab right here. Pretty simple, I would think. Actually, before we move forward, let me just say something. I know sometimes this whole process just seems like a lot, but it's really not. You just, go with the big things. Just start knocking things out, and before you know it, you're there. And sure, sometimes you're going to have to go back and take something off because you forgot to do something. Like I had to pull all the wires off the back of the motor again, and all my wiring and throttle linkage and stuff that I did because I had to get the panel back on. So sometimes you're going to backstep and then you're going to go forward. But don't let it drive you nuts. Just keep plugging away. And before you know it, you'll get to driving it. I think the smart thing to do would be to let's make a list. So we're gonna what we gotta do? We gotta rebuild carb. Check. We got to fan. We gotta get a fan hooked up. We got to finish wiring ignition. We need plug wires. Hoses. Oil. Coolant. You probably can't see that. I think we're there. That's valve covers. Okay, valve covers. I think we're there. I don't know. All right, today's the day. We're getting things wrapped up. Got my plug wires, and I made them all up, and we got our custom black spark plugs in here. And I was gonna leave them, but I'm sure some of you are not happy about our custom black spark plugs, so I'm gonna take care of that. Voila! See, they needed to be red. Yep, perfect. Custom red spark plugs. Sweet. Let's get the other side on and get this valve cover on. All right, now the valve cover. Looks pretty clean in there, huh? Can't complain about that none. Some of y'all are gonna be really happy about this. I'm using valve covers that are period correct. You know? Something you would have seen on this thing in the 60s when hot rodding was hot rodding. Look at that jazzy thing, huh? Yeah, that's gonna be nice. Cork gasket. I think we're gonna flip this upside down like so. Because I'd rather have the single holes at the bottom. What do you think about that? Starting to tie the old girl together now. Yeah, it's spray painted. Why would I powder coat it? We're on a budget here. We're not about fancy stuff. What Pretty jazzy. There was dust on that one. So I'm pretty sure this is where some of y'all are not going to be happy with me. Because I'm not a hot rod guy. And I didn't grow up in the 60s. So I don't always follow the hot rod guidelines. So some of you guys that are true, hot rod lovers that got to see it exactly how the old hot rod should be. Zoomies. And I know everybody's like, put them on like they're supposed to be. But that's not me. So I'm going to put them on like they're not supposed to be. Because I'm not the type of guy who does what everybody else does. No matter if that's what you're supposed to do or not. So, when you're looking at this car, I can't help but think to myself, it should be loud and obnoxious and kind of in your face, ignorant. I guess this don't have a certain way. So they're going on forward. And in the air. And right at your grill. And the goal is that maybe I can blow your hat off when I roll through the parking lot. Throw it in neutral, rev on it. Put your fedora, on the ground. And don't act like you don't wear a fedora. I seen you. Yep. What do you think about that? I know you're saying, like, it's extreme. You're pushing the limits. And you're probably right. I'm pushing the limits. Someone's going to like it. Someone's not. And who knows? Maybe in the end, those people that criticized you say, well, I'm sorry. It looks pretty cool, actually. Maybe they don't. Maybe they stand on it. But what you'll find is most of the people that criticize you, they don't even have a car. They're Ubering around town. They're catching the Ubers and they're saying, well, you got a POS. At least they got a POS. Okay. Putting bolts in the header, not necessarily engaging entertainment. All right. I got the fan trimmed down so that we could put the flex fan back on in here and try and move some air, whatever that's going to move. And I still got to hook that fan back up just till we can see if this will keep cool the way it is. And then what else did I do? Oh, I put on a PCV valve. I painted the caps and I threw a quart of oil in it. Well, a couple quarts of oil. And now I'm going to throw some zinc additive in it. And I know I'm using Rotella, but I'm being safe and just throwing a little extra zinc on top just to be sure that, well, it's other stuff too, but it's ZDDP supplement, just to be sure we got enough with the Earl that we got, you know? We just want to make sure that the cam, being a flat tappet, it's got, the everything it needs to stay together best it can, because we're not easy on cars, you know? So what's $6? $6 of insurance. Oh, and I got one of them fancy chrome dipsticks because there wasn't one in the car. That's 4 quarts and 4.5. We're close. We can see if something's reading on it. Now let's check it one more time, just because it's a brand new dipstick. Okay, that says we're like a quarter quart low, but I guess that sounds right. What do you got going on there? Well, that's my backwards 302. Mounted it up on the crank snout up here. I know. It was that. I'm sorry. It's what I had. It's what I got. That was my joke of the day. I'll stick to wrenching. But I think we're at a point where we can fire this up. I put water in it. We got oil in it. We got things, right? Let's see. That's the ignition. All right, we got oil pressure. Are we ready to fire it up? I mean, we're going to have to hit the fuel pump now, and let's see what goes on with that. There goes fuel pump. We're pumping fuel here. Oh, we're overflowing. Shoot. Shoot. That was a lot of fuel. No bueno. That was totally horrible. The floats did not close. Well, I tell you what, if there's one way to mess up a nice motor, that was it. Well, I mean, we got fuel in it now. We just fire it off now. Why not? She ran out of fuel. All right, well, we've got all the little knick-knack things done. We tapped on the carburetor and got the floats freed up. So, they do float things. And carb's working good. Took a little RVT and ran it around the base of that timing cover. Whoop, stopped that oil leak. Got the fans all hooked up, and well, it runs really good. And most importantly, when you have your foot on the brake and you put it into drive, it just sits there. And I tapped on it in drive, and I think she's gonna lay patch. So I guess that's what we got to do now. We have to take it for a little drive and see if it lays patch. Okay, let's uh let's do that. All right, guys, that's it. The barn find bucket is now getting a twist on it. We're making it more of a BYC car. The fella that I got the car from always told me that if he had his way, he'd put a small block in it. I hope he's looking down on me, saying, "Good job, son." Still the same inside. Still got the ratty old fuel tank. Battery still ain't got it brackets holding it down yet, but we're getting there. It's way more drivable with the small block in it, and the front end loves it. All right. Might have to come up with a new name now that she's no longer looking like that car we pulled out of the barn. All right, well, I guess we're gonna wrap it up here. We're coming along. We're moving it towards our vision for it. We got some steering stuff we need to do. We gotta work on a steering gearbox and fix some linkage up here because it's a little wavy. And most importantly, we need 2 brake calipers because well they're just sticking. So what do you think? Are you glad that we didn't just give up on it And I bet you're happy that we didn't just leave it pink either. Yeah, I couldn't do it. I'm sorry. But we did salvage the pink block. We did make a man out of it, and the bucket is not forgotten. It it's drivable, and that is key. And to top it all off, we did it cheap, as cheap as you could do. Probably I got to go through all the receipts, but with nuts and bolts and little block off plates and doodads, we had to get a thermostat housing and new hoses, oils, gaskets, all that stuff. It's like $600 or $700, I think, total. You know, to revamp the whole motor. I mean, we didn't put bearings in it. I mean, you had new rings. Didn't do a cylinder bore or valve, nothing. We just, we did the rebuild thing, and of course, there's no receipts because I have to write them off for taxes. So you're not getting those. But it's brand new. It's got 5 miles on the rebuild. I know. I'm not going to tell nobody that. I'm going to tell them it's old. The whole thing's old. It's just whatever. And it took me like 3 hours a day, 5 total days. So if you're doing this on the weekend, plan for 3 weekends worth of swapping. If you're going at it every day, for 8 hours a day, probably 2 days and by yourself, and it's all done. If you got all the parts. And so my plan for the front is I'm going to put a rack and pinion up here, right across the bottom. And I know some of you have told me that the rack and pinion is probably not the best choice because of what I got going on up here. But I'm going to be honest with you. We're doing away with the leaf overall if we're keeping the car. The leaf is going, and we're going to run some coilovers right here. You know what I'm saying? With the straight axle and this link, and then a coilover, and we're gonna do something with some type of drag link or something up here to keep the axle centered. Do the job of what this is doing. So ultimately, in the end, I think that if we do the coilover and all that other stuff, there'll be no bump steer issues using a rack and pinion style, steering shaft like you would in a race car or a Ford Mustang. I know I could use the 50s Ford truck box that's on there again, or I could go to the Vega cross steer. I don't know. I'm not a hot rod guy. I'm learning. Vega cross steer. I could do that. They say that's a better setup for these. It's not going to drive like a new car, but not. And I think if we do the rack and pinion and some stabilizer links and coilovers, it's going to be perfect. Try to save as much of the old school as we can, but yet, I want to save this radius link and the straight axle and it's sticking out in front of the chassis like this. I want to save that look, but kind of bring up-to-date stuff. But I've talked long enough, so let me know in the comments. What do you think? Did we hit a home run with the backwards 302? Or are you mad at me still? Mad I took the big block out? Mad I put the headers on backwards? Mad that I have the car and you don't? I'm sorry. That was mean. I'm not trying to be mean. Just a lot of people get angry when you don't do what they want you to do. I care what you think. I do what I like to do. I listen to what you say. Even though most of the time I don't do what you say. But I heard you. And I gave you a thought. All right. Next time. Probably. Oh, I moved it over here. Probably putting the big block in the Monte Carlo on the next episode. We never know what happens, you know? I think we're coming back to the Monte Carlo is what I'm trying to say. So, enjoyed the hot rod, and we'll continue on. But I need to go fast. I got a guy I gotta try and compete with. I'm not gonna. He's gonna whoop me. But we got a little friendly wager going on. You know, he thinks my heavy Monte Carlo is a bad choice. He's probably right. All right. Till next time. Enjoy.